Before we got into the middle of the meeting. Yeah. Everyone set? All right, let me call the Thursday, April 20th business meeting of Narberth Borough Council to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief String, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Absolutely. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Borough, will you take the roll?
Sure. President Bush.
Here.
Vice President Panama-Lopez.
Here.
Sorry.
Councilmember Borough.
Here.
Councilmember Fortner is absent. Councilmember McGreevy.
Here.
Councilmember Rickards.
Here.
Councilmember Winston.
Here.
And Mayor Deutsch.
Here.
Here.
Okay. All right. Are there any agenda additions or changes anyone like to propose? Okay. I have no comments today. Ms. Mayor.
I do. We have a very special event tonight. We have the ceremonial swearing in of our new Chief of Police, John String, and I'm very excited. We're going to get that in just a moment. Before, I just want to make mention, we had a tragic fire in the borough this morning at about 3:30 in the morning, and there was a loss of life. And I just want to thank all our first responders who showed up and got there and contained the fire, which was really raging out of control, and they kept it out away from any other site, and we're very thankful to them. We're very thankful to the police that were there. Sergeant Fernaccio was there on scene, and keeping the rest, everybody else safe. And we're thankful for everything they do for us and keeping the members of the borough safe and doing the best to put out fires and care for the residents and people of this borough. So thank you very much to everybody who participated. And now I have the honor of doing the ceremonial swearing in of our new Chief of Police, John String. We are very, very fortunate to have Chief String. He comes to us from Lower Merion Police, and he's going to do very, very good things for our borough. And we have his parents here, and his kids are here, and friends and people who love him are here, and we're very honored to have him. So we'll do it. Can I have someone to help hold the Bible? All right. There. Let's see. Why don't we go here so everybody can have a clear view? Over here. You want to hold the Bible? All right, go ahead. You guys can both do it. All right, raise your right hand. Okay. Repeat after me. I, John String.
I, John String.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And I will discharge the duties of my office.
And I will discharge the duties of my office.
With fidelity.
With fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take 5 minutes for a couple pictures?
Sure.
All right. So anybody?
Why don't you all move there? Since
Yeah.
For you.
We'll
Yeah, are you
recess
taking
for-
pictures?
Okay, then I'll share it.
Yeah. All right. The parent, I think his parents should.
Yeah.
The parents get in? Yes. Yeah. You got it.
Mike, can you let across what I'm doing?
Do we like it?
All right. Absolutely.
You know, lay on the floor. I didn't even recognize Matt in the green.
Do you want me in? Okay.
I can't get.
I'm still in the picture.
All right, ready? Okay.
Yeah, right.
So, all right. Thank you for everything. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, now go take care of it. Where are you going? Okay, yes, that stays here. Okay. Yes, exactly. Excellent. Thank you everyone for coming. All right.
See you in twice.
It's my third round trip in Norwood today.
Thank you for the accommodation, much appreciated.
You had this thing memorized.
I haven't. I'm pretty good at that. Yeah, I've done it a lot.
Thank you for having us.
Take care. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the borough.
That's right.
All right.
If they were a giant squirrel, that would have been
Actually,
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. And that is it for my mayor's memo.
All right, Mike, can you shut the door? Thank you. All right, let's turn the order here. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Yes, thank you.
Let's move on to public comment. So we'll start, public comment is 3 minutes. We'll start with folks in the room. Please start with your name and your address, and then go ahead with your public comment if you'd like to make it.
John Constantine, Harvard Avenue. Just here to, I know there's been some work being done for the Sabine Park, but I think you should still consider that to become a full-blown park. The full extent of it, to have a full-fledged field that's operational for the kids out here. I think having multiple fields will bring more value to the neighborhood than putting up a building. I know the daycare is a consideration, but I think there's other properties that can be retrofitted around the neighborhood that they could seek, reuse. We're in environmental, that would go a long way. And Montgomery County actually has some very good information on their website that they recently promoted in 2022 about having more green space, how that creates value. So thank you.
Thank you. Move on to the back row. Public comment. Would you make a public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody online? Alan, you want to?
So we have 2 folks on Zoom. If you'd like to make a public comment, raise your hand or let me know. Okay. Is there somebody here? Here we go.
First of all, I'd like to let y'all know that we can't hear you. I'm in a quiet room, and I don't know if the volume is turned down, but the meeting, we actually can't hear what's being said at the meeting. So I assume we're at public comment now since I was unmuted, but it was hard to tell. So as I begin my public comment, I'd like to know what the update of the RFP process is for 201 Sabine. I'd like to know if a developer's been approached or have any developers approached the borough or the redevelopment authority. Plans submitted. Now, I also, again, want to readdress that map that was shown that was a full development Montgomery Avenue that was presented at the workshop meeting. For several years, I and others have asked about the map. When Jim Nixon was on council, Michelle Panopoulos was talking about developing the Montgomery Avenue corridor. And when pressed, it took a lot of pressing, but when pressed, it was the park side. So now we were assured, residents were assured that there was not going to be development on the Montgomery Avenue corridor or the park. The map shows that there's going to be development. Michelle and Barbara encouraged the public to look at that map and specifically showing the full development on the park. And then later in the meeting, Michelle said, oh, wrong map. She's never seen that map. I'm really concerned that there's been mixed messages going out to the public, and which is the actual plan that's going to be looked at, and how are we believing what the plan is? So that's the first part of my public comment. My second part of the public comment is I'm very, very concerned about the borough releasing my confidential tax information based with Berkheimer. I really feel the borough doesn't have any business knowing my personal tax information. The borough has hired Berkheimer. Berkheimer should have the tax information. Borough does not need it. Berkheimer has checks and balances to keep the information secure. I don't feel confident that the borough has appropriate assurances or appropriate checks and balances to keep this confidential. And who in the borough is going to have access to the tax information? Is it your entire tax form? Is it just your bottom line? I don't feel that this has been explained very well, and I would like to have both issues addressed: is the RFP process for Sabine, as well as Berkheimer and what you're planning on doing with this tax information.
Thank you, Ms. Scanlon. Just for the record, the 201 Sabine will be on the agenda at our workshop session next month, and there will be a corrected map as part of the discussion. And we will address your other concern about Berkheimer when that comes up tonight. For anyone else online that wishes to make a public comment?
I think we have one more. Lawrence, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah. I don't know. Do I have...
Yeah, just go ahead and give your name and address, and then you can proceed with your public comment.
Okay, so it's Lawrence Goldberg, 200 Sabine Avenue. I would like to congratulate the president and vice president for a quadruple knockout 2 weeks ago today on the 6th of April. On Holy Thursday, the second night of Passover, in the middle of Ramadan, and also in the middle of spring break for Lower Merion School District, for all residents with children. You held a meeting which was discriminatory, which was disenfranchising, and it was intentionally held. It's obvious it's intentionally held because 2 weeks later, we haven't heard a thing about that meeting except for a post on social media in which the president said it was a regularly scheduled meeting. We understand it was a regularly scheduled meeting, but it was intentionally held on a day when the majority of residents couldn't be there. Obviously, this was done for a reason. There were two significant items on the agenda. One of them was the RFP for 201 Sabine. As my neighbor Carol Marie said, that RFP contained incorrect information that all of us were aware of because we read the packet, which was posted. And so I have a few questions for you about that meeting that was held to exclude as many residents as possible. And I'd also like to say that every single one of you 7 members should have and should tonight speak out against that exclusionary, discriminatory, and disenfranchising meeting. And if you don't, I question whether you should be in public service because it was so inappropriate and insensitive that it needs to be stood up for and needs to never happen again. And if you don't even understand that, then I don't understand how you could be representatives of the public of this borough. As far as the materials go, as Carol Marie pointed out, there was a map on there that was approximately double the size of the map that's been on the borough website and showed a development all along Montgomery Avenue. I'd like to know where that map came from, when that map was created. It had 2 separate dates on it. One of them was just a few weeks before the meeting. I'd like to know who approved that map. I'd like to know who created that map. And I'd like to know why it appeared that not one member of the council was aware of what the map was and had even looked at the material. So you were in such a rush to hold the meeting that your own council members were not even prepared to hold the meeting because obviously there was something that you wanted to get through. And this is not a rhetorical question. I would like responses on why, what, and where that material was on there and why nobody was aware of it. as the neighbors were. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. I will note for anybody out there in the community that we have our meetings on the first and third Thursdays of the month. This is our standard meeting date. And last month, our last meeting was not an exception. That's our standard meeting time. Announced at the beginning of the year. And we will return to the issue of the draft of the 201 State by RFP next month. There has been no approval of anything at this point. It is a draft that we will continue to discuss next month. Any other public comment?
No.
All right. Thank you. Public comment is now closed. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Going to make a motion. For the consent agenda?
I'm going to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, any discussion? All right, we're voting on the consent agenda. All those in favor, raise your hand. And passes 6-0. Action items. Action item 9A is an appointment to the police pension fund. Would you like to make a motion? I'll take it to our business. Well, I don't know, or what we haven't. They may not have organized it, actually individual council. So. So on the agenda is approved permanent police commission fund. Yeah.
Okay, I move to appoint Kenneth Vernon to the police pension fund of trustees.
For a second. To discuss Mr. Berman, I'll just point out for the community that Mr. Berman is an attorney with experience working with pension funds, including police pension funds. So he's well suited to working on the police pension fund, in my opinion. Anyone else have any comments? All right, let's go on appointing Mr. Berman to the police pension fund. All those in favor? 6-0. Okay. 9B is the appointments.
I move to appoint Cheyenne Toscana to the Arts and Workforce Board.
Second.
Anyone wants to talk a little about
Yeah, Cheyenne's been very active in our recycle fund and have an interest in cycle infrastructure. So I think this will be a good fit.
Well, she also has experience with arts. She had more community labors, children development. She knows it most.
Okay. So we're taking your spot. No, it's not for us. Let's go on the appointment. All those in favor of appointing Cheyenne Toscana. And now we have some appointments for Mr. Zaria. So.
I move to put Alan Lazar as interim manager and assistant secretary.
So it's previously discussed what we're doing for the borough. For you. So we're in the middle of a search for a borough manager. But it's going to be some time before we're able to bring someone into that role, and a borough needs a manager. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the assistant secretary role? Less familiar with that.
The assistant secretary role is a formality. It lets me sign ordinances, resolutions, just general paperwork on behalf of the borough. So it's pretty much the same as the assistant manager, secretary, usually interchangeable. It just couples with that. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm going to point that along with the appointment as assistant editor and manager of the Jesus as well.
Okay.
All right.
You have the other responsibilities, and we're fortunate to have you. I mean, I don't know if publicly as Alan has great background, he's assistant program in Wales for
6 years. Yeah.
and has
Urban planning.
urban plan.
Yeah.
So he's very knowledgeable on his words. Thank you for your
Thanks, Michelle.
He also comes highly recommended from the mayor of North Wales, who speaks very highly of him and congratulates us on our ability to coax him over here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else to add in? All right. We're voting to appoint Don Lazar as interim manager and assistant secretary. All those in favor? Here's something. Phillies game 6-0. Yeah. Let's go with another appointment for the open record laws.
Move to put down the Borough of the Veterans Officer.
Second.
Just to explain this, so every municipality has to have an open records officer. It was Samantha prior. With her being out, someone has to do it, so I've stepped up to do it. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue in this role after the manager is hired, but we can assess at that time. But for now, it's just for the short term, and then I can report back if this is going to be a long-term thing or not. Yep.
Any discussion? All right, we're voting to appoint Alan Lazar as the open records officer. All those in favor? 6-0. Parks, facilities. That is in the circle. Thank you.
I move to approve the park facilities. So I just want to make a note that Council Rec did make a recommendation to hold off on the actual implementation of the council. Make sure that this thing can go to the public. So we'll be on social media and the newsletter.
Start a little about what this is going to do.
It would allow people the opportunity to be able to serve the picnic tables, the gazebo, at Sabine Park, and also at Margaret Park. For if they wanted to rent it out for birthday party, I think I should have talked about tonight. So if you can choose the nominal fee. And then it's still available to the public use. You just won't have reserve access to it.
Anyone can use it as long as someone else has reserved.
Yeah.
And I assume there'll be a calendar. Somebody will keep a calendar so there won't be conflicts. Or
right.
We'll put it on the borough calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
The challenge to date has been that people go like we have anything. The fees are, certainly also recommendation that they part of them
right. So that will be added to both Sabine Park and Margaret Park, so that will provide more picnic tables.
And so, but I think it's fair to say that the Parks and Rec was they drafted this language, but that they're all there's no. They didn't have any major concerns about this. So.
Yeah, I think there was a minor tweak that was already made. Yeah,
But I also want to make a note that this came from the community in terms of the desire to be able to rent, to be able to rent space at the park.
I've been the person who has to get to the park 2 hours before the party was supposed to start, sit on the table, and make sure that no one else uses the table. So, yeah, I would totally, this would have been great when my daughter was a little younger.
Right, I think we've all have a story of having found out and say we're now dead in the gazebo, so waiting for a birthday.
Yes, this would be very helpful.
Just to add, we could also recoup some of the maintenance costs at the parks by doing this. So that's another positive. Yep.
Any other discussion? All right, let's go to the park facilities application. All those in favor? That's unanimous. 9F. This is to the first time these.
For the point for economy, some of the sharing confidential tax information.
For a second. I'm going to about this.
Okay, so I'll do my best to explain it. So essentially, this resolution designates certain people or positions to be able to access monthly reports from Berkheimer. And the way we access it is through a secured portal that only the appointed individuals have access to. Now, the information that we have access to, they say it's confidential information. It's not really sensitive information. Like, it doesn't have social security numbers. It doesn't have like their W-2 or whatever. All that it essentially is a database of individuals and employers with their names and their addresses and their withholding status. It's just a way for the borough to kind of track and to track where we're at with the EIT. And Berkheimer also is probably required to provide that to us per Act 32 as a check on them, so to speak. But these reports are not saved onto our computers or our shared drive. They're only in the portal, and we don't download them or store them on our computers. To be honest with you, I don't really look at that listing. I only look at the payment confirmations for the EIT. So that is essentially what the resolution is for. With Samantha gone, we need to appoint new individuals to have access to it. So I'm recommending that the manager and the assistant manager be the appointed people, so you don't have to do a resolution every time you have a change of management. And I hope that answers everybody's questions about it. Should we ask Carol Marie if she has any comments or questions? Or
no, I mean, I think that the main point is that this is, among other things, to give us oversight over the EIT. We have to make sure that they are administering it properly, if they're not charging people what they should. And if someone comes to us with a complaint, you have to be able to get this information, see what they're doing. And also, this is not something the county will have access to. This is being handled by our borough manager. So
Fred, is it safe to, let's give the analogy, just like Regina checks, okay, this is the resident's name, address, whether or not they pay the property and school taxes, this is really the analogous process, but it's by Berkheimer, because it's EIT.
So Berkheimer handles the EIT for everybody in the county. They are the designated sort of provider for everybody in the county.
Right, it's nothing new, but we need to be able to know who's here and whether or not they pay their taxes. And this really is just the analogous process for the year.
Well, and also the standing fact.
Yeah, and there's a resolution in place right now with our former manager. And
right, we've had a resolution last year for Samantha to have access to this. So this is
completely new. It's just a change in who that person is, and Samantha's no longer.
Well, I mean, just because there's been community concern, I think everybody on council is very clear on what this is and why we need it. For the sake of the community. Any other questions? All right, we are voting to set our borough manager and assistant manager as the liaisons with programs. All those in favor? And 9G.
I move to approve the resolution 2023-05-14 yeah, this resolution is communicating support for the mainline greenway, which is it's a critical bike pathway that will connect through Narberth and connect all of the neighborhoods from Valleywood all the way out to Borough, to the park, the green spaces, parks, arboretums, the commercial districts. It will intersect Narberth both in South Narberth and North Narberth. So it looks at Avenue, Haverford Avenue, and Salem Avenue. So what Narberth part of it will be the pavement markings and the signage and improvements that need to be made. Lower area has already, and also Trevor has been working on planning to start the project and so that's so this will really bring the regional network and connect to the project circulation network and trails and community.
To be expressing our support as slow hearing these quick buses. But I don't think the actual the work will begin in the near term. Right? So we'll see an expression of support and help us coordinate the low hearing. And then the physical changes that will sign will be later on down the road.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, let's vote on resolution 2023-05, support the mainline greenway. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives.
I move that we adopt resolution 2023-06 to support Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives.
Second. Okay. Tell us about the Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives. I'm not to say wrong.
It's too long. You're going to have to lean into this, right? I'd like to give the context and then kind of the definition and then what we need to have. Once the borough acquired 3 Elmwood, a resident came forward with very generous donations that they hope to make to put into a reserve to help improve open space at 3 Elmwood and potential other places. But there was no mechanism for us to accept a private donation like that, and like no way for us to give a tax deduction for that. So we created, with the help of Solicitor Walco, this nonprofit, and I can give this to John in a minute, that we call Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives, or FUNGA, whatever, with a description that I'd like to read if we have the time here. This is a local Pennsylvania nonprofit entity being formed to improve the lives of citizens, business, and visitors in Narberth Borough by preserving, stewarding, maintaining, and revitalizing green open spaces through the borough, promoting and supporting green energy households, supporting the acquisition, development, and maintenance of new green open spaces within the borough, fostering healthy public spaces and public works projects within the borough, engaging diverse communities, promoting community and economic development, performing related municipal purposes that advance or support open space and green energy initiatives with the borough. So we have this kind of broad description of supporting green initiatives because one of the topics we talked about or aspired to with public health and safety in the creative even is creating a space for, let's say, households or individuals who want to kind of offset and pay a carbon tax if they fly or travel. We would like to be able to say we can be that resource for you, but without this nonprofit, there's not the kind of mechanism for us to do that. So with that said, Solicitor Walker created this nonprofit. And now, John, do you want to explain kind of next steps? We're going to do a call to action. We need 3 board members and then 2 members, and then.
I think you probably are going to want 5 board members, president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and 1. This will be a supporting organization. Its purpose is to support Knowledge Borough, although it will be its own independent 501c3 or 501a organization thing, not classified. The classification really doesn't matter. It's not that it would then be a once it's up and running, we would apply for a federal exemption to support its purposes as a record. But to highlight, it is a separate organization with its own bylaws that are still being drafted. I'm working on those. The intent is to have certainly borough involvement in this organization, and the board, although it would be again an organization working hand in hand with the borough. And the purpose of this resolution is, yes, that this organization is helping the borough, but it's going to do certain things that the borough may want to assist this organization with. For example, the public works projects, the public spaces that are going to be involved in these outreach programs, in the use of borough staff resources to make that go, the in-kind services. So this is just sort of a way of establishing for record as this organization moves forward. The borough would like to have this organization be its supporting organization for these purposes, welcomes that use. So the organization can continue with formation, organization, and then hopefully working again, independent nonprofit, but working with the borough for joint goals and things.
So we need the call to action, call to volunteers. Assuming this passes, I'll send that kind of description and a call to action and ask the office to advertise in social media, put it in the flash. Once we have those 5 names, we can then solidify the group and begin to assume people in.
I would probably be ready to solicit members. We need to file a draft.
It really is a minimum of 5. I mean, you could set it up as a board with individual members. People can insist to not be on the board. I would likely recommend that one of those members that's on the board is either a member of borough staff or a member of council who have representation board committee voters to have representation on the board. But certainly there's going to not be a cap on your people who have sisters.
I was just wondering if we're ready, assuming we pass this tonight, will we be ready to advertise for people, or do we want, are you still finishing up the bylaws?
I am still finishing up the bylaws, but I don't believe that would impede the ability to start getting volunteers. The councilperson record stated that is going to be the purpose statement, but it's going to be in the bylaws. If we do have an EIN number set up for the organization, it'd be nice to get a treasurer, so then they'll have that accounts and this would get things moving forward.
Yeah, I would like to get the word out as soon as possible, because I have had actually more than one name come forward and said they need to donate.
All right, take my money.
Okay, okay. Once this is when we pass this, council's comfortable with putting out that call to action. I'd like to let the CAC know.
Yeah.
Particularly. Okay.
Great. All right. So, any more discussion? Let's vote this resolution to support the Friends of Narberth Green initiatives. All those in favor? The last one is to amend the piece.
I move to approve resolution 2023-07 to amend the consent.
Okay. I second.
So, let's see, I'm happy to do it.
So right now, this is just a single amendment, right? It's building permit. Right now, the building permit fee for Narberth Borough is 3% of the project's costs plus additional $50 plus the payment of the Commonwealth CCC fees, which is $4.50. That usually works out well for your average building permit. However, for significantly large projects, the 3% of that project's costs ends up being drastically more than the amount it takes to administer that project based upon feedback we're receiving. That puts the borough in a bad position because obviously for citizens, it's not supposed to be a money-making operation. It's supposed to be in line. The fee is supposed to offset the costs, the administrative costs, reasonably for what the borough does. So ultimately, it might take some work to come up with a formula. In the short term, this agreement will allow building code official in its discretion to reduce that 3% to an amount that the official determines is more in line with the costs to administer that permit. Again, therefore being more in line with what law requires us to do. Again, in the future, we should probably work on having a more objective standard of short term specific fix for that. And there wouldn't be no loss, obviously, to the borough. This is something that the borough actually has done in the past already, and I thought it would be in the best interest to actually have counsel to watch this as not to provide our staff with any additional.
Any questions? Further discussion? Okay, we're going to vote to approve resolution 2307 for amendment fee schedule. All those in favor? Opposed? And information items.
Just wanted to share that the applicant of 714 East Montgomery. So per the MPC, the governing body is responsible for making a decision within X amount of time. So the applicant is 714 East Montgomery Avenue has granted us an extension that is valid through June 30th. So essentially, Borough Council needs to take action on this application at the June business meeting if the applicant does not provide us with an extension. So they have prolonged their application process, hopefully producing a new plan for our review. We good to move on to the next item?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a planning commission. Well, I have to go to planning commission.
All right, John and we have it on our calendars. It's urgent. Yes. Yeah. So the second item is just confirmation for the purchase of 3 Elmwood. You see here on the screen, it's just showing that the money was taken out of the account that was set up to pay for the purchase. And now that account is closed out. The next item is just notifying council of who the authorized signers are on the bank accounts. So now it would be myself and Missy Morales, our office manager. The next item, I think that's it. Monthly reports.
It says monthly reports, which are
yep.
Is there any new business? Old business?
Tommy, you can install under old business and you left our communication from community. And do we want to do a form? Do we want it kind of timely and simple? So I don't just kind of throw it out where we just talk about it.
What do you have in mind?
So We talked about communication plan, and Samantha asked in the past that committees kind of come to consensus with what points get highlighted via the Flash and social media, and it just was too cumbersome and didn't make sense of the process. Because by the time we came to consensus, the committee had met, and then we talked about how maybe we should do a form and see what goes forward. In FNA, we just discussed simplifying. Alan agreed that the staff could handle 5 unique social media posts and flash posts that has each committee meeting agenda, every council, business and workshop agenda, and a unique post, and then asking the chair of the committee to pull out and extract, hey, here are 2 items on the agenda, 3 items on the agenda that you may want to pay attention to. And if you feel so inclined to add a visual, the staff will very appreciate that. And that just when committee chairs get the agenda and say, okay, approve the post, you also say, and here are 3 or whatever items call attention, and here's an image. And at least that's the first start. We'll talk about, other communication ideas, but could we all, committee chairs, agree to do that in the next month or 2 to try this to communicate? Thank you, Sarah. All right.
Is that going to be for the full council meetings as well? Or going to be? All right.
That's maybe by 5.
Yeah, so 3 committee meetings, 2 council meetings. We also kind of referenced this last.
Oh, okay, so there's 5 meetings and the agenda and like much.
Right. So you and Michelle can do the council meetings. Hey, call your attention to, again, if you can give the office a brief picture, they will thank you. Committee chairs, we can do it with the agenda. That will go into Flash and in social media. How far in advance we can do it? I mean, what do we do?
I was going to say for highlighting the items, it could be 2-3 days in advance. I think closer to the meeting might be better because it'll like call people out like right before the meeting, like, oh, I better get to it. Like they're discussing this versus if it's like a week before, they may kind of forget about it over the course of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just simplify this? The next conversation that I don't want to wait until next month is we discuss when something such as the stormwater or the EV chargers is happening to kind of replicate the future shade tree signs. Mm-hmm. Are we comfortable with Alan talking to Jeff saying, hey, can we come up with whether it be a cone, like we do cone signs that are in here, with a sign that just says future home of Narberth Borough project with a link to the webpage, just to physically alert folks in addition to the letter that something's going on. I should probably go to the webpage or look for a letter or look at something. Are we comfortable with Alan and Jeff handling?
Okay.
If we do so much.
Have you talked about it?
No, we talked about it in FNA. Yeah. Yeah.
Do this. We all get it on. Yeah.
All right.
I think a simple flyer with a QR code is probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing that we've done.
I was just going to immediately go for it.
The other thing that we brought up, and Alan was already working on this, is like kind of like compressing out the flash a bit. Right, it's a little higher. So just cleaning that up and maybe prioritize, put the more interesting stuff.
I think we had something in the flash. Recent uptake in garbage collection. It's been saying for a year. And that's not really possible. Right. Yeah.
That's good. It hasn't grown.
Right. And I guess while we're on this too, I just noticed this today. Maybe this is happening every month business years, but the agendas for all the committees and the commissions are posted at the front of our hall. That's been happening for years. No,
it's to have suspended. It's supposed to happen.
Well, I just noticed that I recommend somebody. So yeah, red flash updated, less stagnant, if we can all read this, and then the physical directions to go a little bit updated. Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner.
We're good. Sorry, comments from the good council.
I have two. I want to congratulate Norbert. We have been named a tree city by the National Arbor Day Foundation. So we have satisfied the criteria for doing that. I will be reading an annual proclamation to make on Arbor Day. Everybody's invited to hear my proclamation.
And you say here.
Absolutely. But it's not often. I don't get to issue proclamations often enough. So I will wear a hat. And I want him. Yes, there will be a trip. So I just want to congratulate the borough on and the Shade Tree Commission on their good work. Next, I also want to remind everybody that Saturday is the Nordic Run. That means that streets in the borough will be blocked from approximately 7:15 to like 9:30. If you will need to leave the borough, yes. If you will need to leave the borough during that time, you'll have to kindly park outside the borough limits so that you don't drive through the race course. So we want to keep everyone safe and happy. It's a very limited time period for one day of the year to support a very good cause. It's been going on for 28 years. And so we want to do our best to help them have a successful and showcase other own.
Yeah. I also want to announce that if you're interested in checking out the mainline Greenway route, there's a guy on Sunday that's going to leave from Hartford College, visit your parking lot, and that will be at 10 a.m. on Sunday. And that works for the rest of the
How far away is it?
It's 7.5 miles. It goes up to Villanova and 7.5 miles.
I think I was in last time. It was very fun.
Yeah, that was the eastern part. That was great.
Any other comments from the council? So we will have an executive session at this meeting to discuss personnel matters relating to the hiring of a police officer, the hiring of a borough manager, and the disposition of the property and the security contract within the parking lot. We will also discuss the potential lawsuit. We will return after the executive session. We anticipate returning to take some more votes after the executive session. So, we're still going to adjourn at this point. Take a motion to adjourn into executive session. Is there a second? Okay. All right, we are moving executive session.
We have 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll take 2 minutes.
At 10:39.
Okay, we are returning from our executive session to take out 2 items of business. First item is going to be the consideration of hiring a police officer. How should this motion be structured?
Someone would make a motion to hire the officer, hire, and then 60 seconds.
Okay. You want to make the motion?
Well,
we have anything else?
I don't think
what's the last name?
He's the first officer on the list.
No, it's I move that we give a conditional use offer to Casey Stack That's APP.
Second.
All right, so the conditions are that, yeah, we have to specify.
More than the
Which is fine. All right, so we have a motion and a second to hire new police officers. Any further discussion?
Yeah, all I work.
That's right. It's a long process. And thank the community thanks them.
So currently the department is in need to have a police.
When would someone like to start? If this schedule was set?
Yeah.
Upon successful completion of that.
Yeah, and then Mr. will follow up on where to do that sidewalk. Okay, great.
All right, so let's vote on hiring Mr. Seth. All those in favor? Okay. Passes. Let's move on to the hiring a temporary bookkeeper. Thank you. Some discussions of the community knows what this would entail. Some exec sessions would be 1 or 2 days a week, a bookkeeper that would be hired through a temporary service until such time as the office is fully staffed.
At a rate of 39 to 45 an hour.
Any further discussion? All right, let's go on hiring temp bookkeeper. All those in favor? That is unanimously. And now I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of adjournment? Motion session's adjourned. Thank you.
We used to do this very often.
I should get a cot here.
Yeah.